Hello everyone. We'll just start the webinar now. So it's already 6:30 in Mauritius. So we'll be talking about PMP certification. So it's as the next big thing in Mauritius. So don't mind me if I'm not looking at you directly because I have two screens. So we just do that. So my name is Vijendra Ramdoo. I work as a project manager, infra project manager at SBM Bank in Mauritius. I just recently completed my PMP certification. So I've been managing projects of varying size and complexities since around 10 years now, mostly infra projects. So, so I would like to also thank our organizer today, so Prothoughts, in collaboration with Finanotech, who have provided us with this opportunity to have this webinar. In this way, everyone can earn some videos also. So Prothoughts is an organization who provide corporate training. They can provide workshops, e-learning, project management books. So all the resources that are required for an aspirant to be able to go for the PMP exam. So you have so they have other resources as well. So you can check them on the internet on LinkedIn as well. So agenda for today. We'll be talking about projects in organizations. So a general overview, the role of a PM, the importance of PMP in the current job market. So we will be talking about Mauritius, obviously. Then the process of obtaining a PMP in Mauritius. And I'll also share some tips, so my personal experience to prepare for the PMP exam, given that I have just recently completed it. I hope that this session will be insightful for all of you. And I again thank you for having joined this webinar. So projects in an organization. So several sectors in Mauritius have known an exponential growth in the past 10 to 15 years. So companies generally, they provide a service, they make profits and they expand. But often we see an unbridled growth, often not in alignment with the company vision and strategy. And change is certainly required, but it's not well anticipated. Okay, so for example, companies which do not change their ways of working, or they do not try to, for example, add new products, new product lines, and add new offerings, they just die out. So how to deal with the chaos? I'm saying chaos here because, see, chaos can be positive as well. So chaos brings change. So the organizations in Mauritius, so they are adopting the OPM framework, in fact. So organization process management, project management. So they have, according to their vision and their strategy, they have portfolios, which become programs, and finally projects. So now I'll come to contributing factors to project failure. So I'll jump directly to that. Projects, in fact, organizations, they try to bring the change, right? So the projects that are being set up, sometimes they go on smoothly, they go on well, but sometimes they fail. So the contributing factors to project failure, as you'll see here, are poorly estimated deadlines, scope changes. So okay, for agile projects, normally it's something that's correct. So, but I'm talking here about traditional projects and insufficient resources. So, of course, all organizations face this issue. Lack of executive support from the sponsors, poorly defined goals and objectives in the changing environment. So, government regulations and so regulatory bodies who all the time they are changing, governments change, so these things happen. And poor communication. So there are many organizations who work in siloed mode. So you have the development team, the project management team, the testing team. So these guys, they don't work together so well. So you have these siloed communication. So everyone is blaming everyone for mistakes. And of course, lack of change control process. These items, I have obtained them from the PwC 2004 2014 global survey, and also APMG International 2022. Let's come to the role of a PM now. So we have understood that projects are required for change, and sometimes projects fail. So what is the role of a PM? I'm putting according to me here because everyone has a definition of what a PM is and what he does, and everyone has his own vision of it. So for me, a PM should be able to plan, execute, monitor, control, and close projects while effectively managing project teams, stakeholders, resources to ensure that projects are delivered on time, within budget, and according to specified scope and quality requirements. By looking at, so this definition is quite a mouthful, right? So by looking at this definition, we can understand that there are several skills that are required for a project manager. So these skills are leadership, communication and reporting, organization, time management, negotiation, conflict resolution, so team management, financial skills, and technical knowledge. So Gartner has had released in 2019 a press release. Okay, so that says that 80% of today's project management tasks will be taken over by AI. Okay, so what happened during COVID-19? Okay, PMs busted their hole to keep everything from falling apart. We are all agree on that. So PMs are in fact the bridge between teams. I do believe that. So they are the super glue that glue all the teams together and they make the whole thing work together. Okay. Their role is to motivate, also along all these skills, is to motivate, coordinate, negotiate, facilitate, and translate requirements so that everyone is aligned to the goals of the project. We'll now come to the importance of earning a PMP in the Mauritian job market. To enhance career prospects, the PMP is a globally respected certification. So, for example, aspirants to an international career, it would be very good for your CV, and you can easily obtain many job job prospects. Industry recognition and global career visibility. So the when someone has a PMP in hand, it increases their credibility on the market. So companies who have PMP professionals in their midst have more credibility also. So it's an advantage for the candidate and for the organization as well. Expanded knowledge and skills and competence. So deep understanding of the tools and techniques that are used daily by project managers. So, for example, for me, before doing the PMP, I use a set of tools and techniques that normally was transcended from the organization itself. So many organizations have many types of tools that they use. So sometimes there are some techniques that we lack. So learning about this PMP and earning this PMP has given me the opportunity to have a deep understanding, of course, of these tools and techniques. So to be exposed to the PM book, increased earning potential, of course. So that's one major advantage of earning a PMP. More opportunities, and of course, when you will look at any job description for a project manager in Mauritius or in any country, I believe, So they'll just state that it's the PMP is desired or it's mandatory directly. You have networking opportunities. So you have the opportunity to attend webinars, official webinars that are posted on the PMP websites, and also those that are provided by organizations like Prothoughts, and also the Mauritius chapter. So for us, it's the Mauritius chapter. There are several chapters around the world, and I'm not yet a member of the Mauritius chapter, but I'm sincerely looking forward to join the Mauritius chapter and increase my knowledge, because of course we'll have access to like-minded individuals and we'll be able to better connect. Then there's also the aspect of constant development. So earning PDUs, 1 hour of learning is 1 PDU. So uh, the advantage are also, because I'm in IT, so there are several certifications that I have done, but unfortunately after 3 years it expires and we need to recertify, and it's a big pain, in fact, because it's also very expensive. But for PMP, the advantage that I saw was that you don't need to recertify. In fact, you just need to keep your PDUs, and you just need to go for that constant development approach. Then you can keep your you can recertify automatically. You can keep your certification, in fact. Then you also have the organizational benefits. Now I'll just come to some considerations. It's very important that, because I have listed the advantages of having the PMP. These are not disadvantages. I'm just clarifying this out, but these are considerations, in fact. So an increase in salary depends on the organization maturity, in fact. So it depends on which organization you are in. If you want to go for a PMP in Mauritius, you need to look at the organization that you are into. Look at those above you. If the managers that are above you, 2, 3, 4 levels above you, they have this PMP and they are keen to provide the training, and they understand the importance of having a PMP in the midst, in the organization, then it's an added advantage. All right. So if you're thinking of staying in the same organization for a long stretch, then you have the opportunity cost. Of course, the PMP certification costs time, a lot of time and effort and family time and everything. So there's a certain sacrifice that needs to be done to be able to achieve this globally recognized credential. So to be able to achieve this, you need to sacrifice some things. And there's also the consideration of the passing rate. Okay, so there's of course, if you're trying to go for the PMP, you need to work very hard. So it's one of the most difficult certifications in the world, in fact. So the exam is one of the most difficult in the world. So that's what I read on the net, at least. So the passing rate is, the PMI doesn't publish it, but I believe it's around 60% passing rate for the first time you attempt the exam. So I suggest that everyone who is aspiring to get the PMP certification has to work really hard. So we'll come to the tips at a later stage. Here are a few stats. Okay, so this one is so median salary for PMP holders is globally 16% higher, so 32% higher in the USA, because PMI is originally from the USA, of course. There are around 1,200,000 PMP holders currently worldwide. So in Mauritius, I believe it's around 200, like 280 to 300 people. And of course, I had another stat on the net, but I could not give you the reference, because I do not. I'm not sure if it's something that can be credible or not. But I read this stats on many websites. So around 2.3 million roles per year through to 2030 of PMs will be required. So currently 90 million people in the world work on projectile structures. So you can guess the ratio of people who are working as project managers to those who are really certified as project managers. So earning the PMP can really give you an edge. I'll come to the process of obtaining a PMP in Mauritius. So I believe this process is the same for everyone across the world. So you take the course. So I took the course at Prothoughts. So to gather 35 PDUs. So 35 PDUs, as I said, is 35 hours of learning time. Then after the course, I had the course of a few weekends. Then after completion, you create your PMI account. You record your experience. So normally, when you create the PMI account, it will ask you to add your experience. So it's quite it's not difficult, but it's quite bulky, so because you need to add all your past projects and it should not overlap. So you record your experience, 36 months of recorded experience. That's if you have a 4-year degree. If someone has a diploma, you should provide more experience time on projects, on actual projects. And of course, you need to explain how you applied your project management knowledge in those projects so that you are granted the possibility to take the exam itself. Then that recorded experience on the PMI website. So one thing is important. So I had the I had the bad luck of recording the experience directly on the website, but then I was just recording it. Then it just timed out, so I lost everything. So the next time I started recording it, I just put everything in a Word document. Then I copied and pasted on the website. So that's better for everyone. So, okay, so after recording the experience, you submit it and you need to wait for 4 to 5 days for validation. Then, of course, you pay for your membership, but that's optional. So, but I would recommend it because you have access to PMI resources. Okay, so the cost is 324 USD currently. So yesterday I checked it, and it's 555 for non-members. So if you have your membership, that's 324 USD. Okay, and the membership fee also, of course, costs. So it's $139 as at yesterday. Then you study hard, of course. That's not to be. There's no way out of that. So you need to study really hard. And as soon as you feel ready to go for the exam, then what you can do is you pay for and schedule the exam at the View Testing Center or from home. What I would suggest is to take the exam at the View Testing Center. That's what I did. So for Mauritian citizens, I will just say that I took it at Bakwa View Testing Center. So it was really nice. So I'll just come to that in a bit. So I'll just come to tips to prepare for the PMP exam. My preparation. So everyone will have their own way of preparing for the exam. So this is how I did it. So before even going to the course, I just went through a few resources online. So I tried to get the gist of what I was getting into. I tried, of course, everyone does some research and tries to understand what is PMP and what is the benefit that it will bring. So is it difficult? Is it easy? How much it costs, etc. So after that, I went for the course. So after the course, I just condensed all the materials that were given to me. So all the notes that I took, all the presentations, the PowerPoints that were provided during the course. I condensed all the materials and I wrote everything down. Then you have the ECO, so the examination content outline. You need to, so what I did was I took that, it's like a syllabus, okay? So I just took that and I just mapped everything that I condensed to those ECOs. Then I read the book, of course. You need to read the book, so, and complement. So that was a really long process, in fact. So that was what took me the most time. It took me at least 3 times to go to read the book from end to end, because uh, believe it or not, questions, PMP exam questions come from anywhere, so you can get it from anywhere within the book. Sometimes it's you need to read between the lines. Sometimes it's hidden, so it's quite difficult. Then I also went through the PM book guide glossary. So the book I'm referring to here in the step above is the Rita book, but then I went through the PM book guide glossary as well. So what I found interesting in that glossary was that it had all the definitions and all the things that you need to conceptually understand to be able to go for the exam. So that's one very nice glossary item. So I went through that and I tried to grasp all the concepts that were within. Then you have the Agile practice guide. So if you are a PMI member, you'll have access to many books on the PMI website. And one of those books is the Agile practice guide. There are many Agile related questions in the exam. So I do not know how the exam was before. So maybe not as much Agile related questions, but now I just took the exam like 1.5 months. So in May, in fact. So I took the exam in May, at the start of May. So it's quite, there are quite a lot of Agile related questions. Okay. Then you have the Prothoughts resources. So given that I took the course from Prothoughts, they have many resources that were made available to our disposition to be able to understand, to grasp concepts. There were many exercises that we could do. So I saw that someone raised their hands. Okay, no, that's okay, that's fine. Okay. So yeah, so the Prothoughts resources. Then you have on the as part of the Prothoughts resources, you have some prep course questions. So I tried to find some questions on the net as well. So these prep course questions that you can get from the net or from Prothoughts, mind you, they are not exam questions, they are exam related questions. So maybe you won't have the same questions, of course, for the exam. You'll have different questions, but they'll help a lot to be able to prepare for this exam. Then I scheduled the exam to stop procrastinating, because when I was going through the book, so at the start, it was really difficult for me, because I found it was really a load of information. It was really complicated for me. So then I just scheduled the exam, and I said, okay, now I'll need to start focusing on this. And I just I stopped the weddings, I stopped the partying and the happy hours and everything. So I just focused on the course. Then, as I said, the View Testing Center. So I really recommend to go for the View Testing Center, because, for example, when I went for the exam, I went there and for some reason I was around 5 to 10 minutes late. So even then, so the administrator will tell you, okay, don't worry, it's fine. So we can schedule the exam, and the exam will end a bit later, but don't worry about this. So that's really nice. And if even you won't have issues like power cuts and everything. So they have everything catered for, have stable internet connections. So I don't know how it is testing from home, but I would really recommend going to View Testing Center if you have the possibility. So the day before the exam, that's really something I would like to share with you. So I stopped reading. I had enough time to do it. I'm ready as I will be. So I just put that in my head. So every time before the exam, you try to read some additional notes and you're thinking, okay, am I ready or not? So you believe me, you had enough time to do it, so should be fine. I found some ways to relax. So did some light sports, uh, meditation. So that doesn't work for me, so I didn't do it. So it's up to you really, how you want to relax. And so what works is eat light and sleep well. So that's what I tried to search on the internet. So how some ways to be able to get focused for the exam, but although that also didn't work for me, so I failed on that one. So that's it. That's the day before the exam. So don't uh, don't be stressed. Just relax. Everything will be fine, and you'd be good to go. If you did the effort, there's no reason that you won't be able to succeed. So the exam itself. Now I'll just come to this. So normally there's we are assessed on three domains: people, process, and business environment. So the three domains of assessment. The pass mark is okay. So God only knows. So I tried to score around 75% in all domains in mock exams. So every time I did that, so we should be fine. PMI does not really give you a pass mark for an exam, so it's not like it's 80% or 65 or 70%. So no one knows about this. It's some algorithms that PMI has. Some people say that it's also weighted, so it depends on the weight of the questions. Some people say that every question is 1 mark, so no one really knows. There are in total 180 questions, so 3 times 60 questions. Okay, so why 3 times 60 questions? I'll just come to that in a bit. So we have many types of questions, multiple choice questions. So if you see a radio button, it's a multiple choice question. Multiple answers, those are square. I don't know if you can call that a button, but they are square. So then very important, we need to know the number of answers required. I did a mistake during the exam. Instead of giving 3 answers, I gave only 2. So I believe that I had lost those marks. Then you have drag and drop questions and then calculations. Of course, these are I would say, worst type of questions because they make you lose time, in fact. So as I said before, you need to go for the practice questions. Okay, those are really important because why they give the candidate uh, an insight on how the questions will be, of course, for the knowledge, but you get an insight of how these questions are, what is the approximate length. You learn to get the keywords in those questions. So uh, sometimes it doesn't work. I'll just be frank about this, but because sometimes you think that you have all the keywords in the question, but there is something hidden. Then, for example, you also have questions where they are saying, uh, so you can have a question where it will say not, so it will just negate the question at the end of the completely at the end of the question. It just negate the answer. So you just have to find, for example, if you tell you the worst type of, so worst, so you need to look for the worst answer, in fact. So just something that you don't have to do. And also you can have questions that are really so sometimes you have questions where the answers they all look the same. So there the best option is to eliminate those answers. So believe me, if you go for these preparation questions, the mock exams and everything, it will give you something else, it will give you speed, because you need to be really, really fast in this exam. Okay. This exam is 180 questions in total, and it's 3 hours and 15 minutes, 50 minutes. Okay. But believe me, it's really, really just you just be on the spot with this. Okay, because it takes a lot of time just to go through those questions and give those answers. There are 2 10-minute breaks, so those do not count in your in those 3 hours and 15 minutes. So uh, 2 10-minute breaks, take them, because you have the option to not take them. I suggest that you take them. Okay. Then after every set of 60 questions, these questions get submitted. So after the 60 questions, the administrator will come to you, and if you agree to submit these questions, they are gone. Okay, you can't review them anymore. Okay, then you have the next set of 60 questions. So after your break, when you come back, so in 10 minutes, when you come back, the center admin, or 10 minutes or less, it can be 5 minutes also. So the center admin will unlock access to the next set of questions. So another set of 60 questions, same process. If you agree to submit them, they are submitted. It's gone. You cannot review them anymore. So it's better to keep some time to review those questions that you have marked during the exam. Just a small parenthesis here. So don't worry about calculators. If you have those calculations, there's a small calculator on the screen itself, so you can use that. Okay. Uh, One thing that I'll tell you is look and do not look at the countdown timer. So it's a literary contradiction here. So what happens is it depends how you're going through with the exam. So not all questions are similar, and sometimes you lose a lot of time on calculations, sometimes on the drag and drops, because a few answers are similar. So you lose quite sometimes on a few questions. Some questions, I'll be frank, so you can answer them even in 30 to 45 seconds. So you have time for other questions. But if, for example, you have gone through 2 sets of 60 questions and you are on the last set of questions, and you see that the time is less, unfortunately, so I would suggest that you don't focus on the countdown timer. Don't focus on that. I went through this on the second set, so don't do that. You'll be stressed, and it doesn't serve any purpose. So just if you're really like if you know what you want to have those 1 minute and 20 seconds sharp for every question, then you look at it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. That's my opinion. Then if everything goes on well, just ace the exam. Okay. And when you submit it, wait for it. Don't click on anything. Hopefully, I wish it for you guys. So anyone who is going for the PMP exam, I wish that you pass. I know that it's a lot of hard work. Okay. Then on the screen you'll just see that, okay, you just see a congratulatory just small message. So it will say, okay, congrats, you are passed and everything. Then the admin will print the provisional results. Okay, so provisional results, why? Because you need to wait for 3 to 4 days for an official confirmation from PMI. So they'll send you an email and say that, okay, you passed, and then on your PMI on the PMI website, you have a small section where it's the My PMI section, where you can see your results, and you can have some more details. Okay, it won't give you exactly which question you did well or wrong, but at least on the free domains, people, process, and business environment, you can have an insight on how you did, and if you are above target, on target, or below target. So then you know how, if you need to focus on something in particular. then after those 3-4 days of confirmation from PMI, you have your certificate to download. You have your small pass, a small like credit card size pass that you can download as well. Okay, so that's it for the webinar. It was a bit short. I went a bit fast on it, so I just hope that it was not too boring. Okay, so it's question and answers time. So any of you who want to just put some questions through. Okay, so I can see that there are uh, there is one question here. So do you get calculation questions? Yes, you get calculation questions. So for me, I got two of them. So they were quite big. So one was an estimation and was an cost. So I had to calculate the SPI. So the SPI calculation was it was not a big calculation. So SPI calculation, but you can have variance at completion calculations. So you need to read the questions well. So it depends which variables or which things vary. So um, yeah, you need to read the questions well. But then the other question that I had, it was a bigger one. So that one was on estimation. So that one was quite it was quite tricky, in fact, to get the answer. Took me quite some time to get the answer. So, did you book the exams with you through Prothoughts or your PMI account? And what's in their open schedule? So I normally from the PMI account itself. So when you go on the PMI website, you'll see that you can book the view testing center from there itself. So you can select whether you want to go through the view testing center or you want to do it from home. You have two options. So yeah, from the PMI website itself, you don't need to have a separate view account to do that. And what is the open schedule? So I don't think that I understood this question quite well. So open schedule, if you mean the view testing center, then I believe it's something like 8:30 to 5 in the evening, something like that, from Monday to Saturday. For me, it was like for my testing center, it was like that. Uh, okay, so do we need to submit first 60 answers before moving to next 60 questions? Yes, you do. So that's why I said we have 3 sets of 60 questions. Unless you submit the first 60 questions, you cannot move to the second set. So the next question is, which processes would you recommend to be more vigilant, more difficult? Uh, in fact, you need to go through all the processes. So I'll just share something with you. What I did was, you'll find when you're trying to grasp these ITTOs, there is something that you'll see is there are many similarities, in fact. Okay, so there are many similarities. For example, if you see expert judgment, okay, you'll see that expert judgment is nearly everywhere. So for example, during the exam, if you have a question, so you can have an answer where it's written that you have 4 options, for example, and you have one option is expert judgment, and you have 3 other options. So for that answer, for that question, if you read the question well, if one of those 3 remaining answers is not appropriate, then you can go for expert judgment. That's my experience of the PMI questions. So, but specifically, which process you would recommend to be more vigilant? The questions can come from any process, so you need to be really careful. If you are lucky, you'll get something that's for example, you'll get simple questions like for example, in which knowledge area does co-validation fall in. So that's something. But then you can have something about so what is the input to this process. And then for example, the input to is process X can come from anywhere. So For example, uh, all the all the processes. For example, you need at least don't try to remember everything by heart. It's really difficult, but try to understand at least what they are and what they mean. Okay, so that's one. In which domain you got most questions? So normally you have the breakdown on the PMI website. I forgot, but it's like in business environment you have around 8% questions. The remaining 92% are broken down between the other domains. Okay, so people process, you'll have these 92% questions, and business environment you'll have 8%. But there's something really important. When you're marked on all these domains. So try to score, as I said, try to score 75%, because I really do not know, but I saw on some blogs that if, for example, you do not succeed in one domain, it doesn't mean that if you have full marks on the other domains, you'll automatically pass. It's not like that, because PMI assesses you on all the three domains, not only on two. So if you're really good on two domains and you're really bad on one, it doesn't mean that you'll automatically pass. Okay, that's what I understood from several blogs. So try to get in the mock exams, try to get good marks. And also, if you have prep course questions, so prep course questions are a bit longer than the actual exam questions. So even if you are doing prep course questions, and these prep course questions take you around, for example, let's say you're going for the exam, and you have 2 hours to complete a set of questions, then you're on the mark for those for that set of questions on the 2 hour mark itself, and you manage to complete somehow. So that's really good, because given that those questions are longer than the actual exam questions, so obviously you'll have more time to answer those exam questions. But mind you, uh, there are many exam questions that are quite long. So be careful with those. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be more difficult, but they are quite long, and try to grasp those keywords from those questions. But also keep an eye, as I said, for these negations at the end of those questions. So is not, something like that. So is not, then you need to negate all the answers and find the right one. So it's yeah, you need to have a look at that. So yes, please. Okay. Okay. Where are the exam centers in Mauritius? If possible, mention name. Okay. So I did my exam at ECCS. It's in Baguantlain in Bakwa. But on the PMI website itself, uh, you can find, just Google it. You'll find the accredited view exam centers on the PMI website itself. So it will give you a global list, but you can filter out. It's an Excel sheet, in fact. So you can just filter out which exam centers are close to your home, but just call before you go there, because I found one exam center that was really close to my home. It was like 10 minutes by 10 minutes, not even by car, by walking or bicycle. I could have gone there in 10 minutes, but the problem is that the exam center was no longer active. So just don't just schedule the exam there. Call there. If they tell you that they're still active, then you schedule the exam there. Okay, so I did that for ECCS. It worked fine. And by the way, ECCS is a really good testing center, really calm environment, and it was really nice. So you have trees growing around, birds chirping, and really nice. So nice environment. And also you have the cutoff also. You don't have any pressure. You don't have neighbors just screaming around everywhere and lots of noise and everything. So it was really calm. Okay. So from the free processors, which was more challenging? Uh, there is no more challenging or less challenging process, in fact. So You can have because all the three processes, I found that you have similar difficulty. If you want to talk about the difficulty, then you have similar difficulty with all the questions that you have in all the processes. So you can have simple questions on people and difficult questions on business environment, or vice versa. So it doesn't really matter. But if I can, because for me, I already did a course earlier, so it was like 4 or 5 years ago. So it was Mauritius Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So it was Advanced Management Program. So there, I had the opportunity to learn a lot about this people process. So the domain itself, sorry. So the people domain, there was a lot of material that was already covered. So I was just during the course itself, I just related to that, and it was easier for me. So the people process was easier for me, but some other people can tell you that the business environment domain is easier for them. So it really depends on your experience and your job experience. Okay. So, were there any questions related to ITTO? Yes, of course there are, but they are not direct questions. Okay, so it won't ask you, okay, what is the input to this process? So it's not a simple question. Like, you'll get a scenario, and from that scenario, you need to deduce what process it's talking about, and uh, what might be the input to that process. So obviously, it's easy when you have the answer in front of you, but you need to at least deduce which process it's talking about. So it won't be a direct question. It's more like a scenario based question that you need to answer. Okay. Did you get many formula questions on SPI or CPI? No. As I said, I got questions on CPI. It was a small question. It was quite easy. Again, scenario based, but small CPI question. The most difficult one was on estimation. So you all knew the formula POM6 divide. So PMM3 divided by 6. So that one, PM4 divided by 6. Sorry. So yeah, that one. So I got the question on that, but it was really so it tells you that, for example, the project is on 6 months, then the estimation is on 1 year, then you need to divide, then you need to apply the formula, then you get the answer. So in the heat of the exam, sometimes you can miss some things, and of course PMI just gives you all the possible answers, and you find everything is right, is like everything is the right answer. But of course there's only one right answer. So that's something that you need to take care of. How and where you took the mock exams? So the mock exams, as I said, where you have, for example, I took the course from Prothoughts, so they gave us a few mock exams. Then you have the prep course questions that you can get on the net also. So you need to do some research. So there are many providers of prep course questions, but mind you, again, I'm telling you, prep course questions are not exam questions. They are designed to help you to answer actual exam questions. They are more a learning material. So don't think that you'll just learn prep course questions by heart and go there and just see the same questions in the exam. It's not true. Okay, that's one thing. Then thank you very much. Okay, that's one. What in the corporate organization, the Mauritius, and do you believe that PMP Certification can potentially address the challenges? Okay, that's a really nice question. So the question is, do I believe if the PMP certification program is the training program that can potentially address the challenges? Yes, of course. So as I said earlier, I have been in projects since around 10 years. So I have worked in different organizations. Every organization has their processes, their ways of working, okay? Their modus operandi. So for me, when I did the PMP, it kind of tied all the different processes in all those organizations. Some organizations, for example, I worked for Alcatel Lucent, I worked for Orange Business Services, I work for Marak Technology, so local companies, international companies. So all these companies, they had their own processes, they had their own ways of working. So when you PMP is a framework, in fact. So when you look at it, well, it's a framework. So you get a general understanding of all the process, and you can tie everything together. So the advantage that I saw was that finally, sometimes I was just talking to my wife this morning, and she was saying, "Hey, yeah, well, she's also doing her PMP." So then she was saying, "Okay, yeah, you see, I was just learning about planning poker and this thing, this and that." And at work, they were just talking about there's a super way of planning for a project and estimation. Yeah, and it's planning poker. Okay, fine. So you get to learn about those things even before it is discussed at work. So really, PMP can help you on that front, of course. So just take the next question for the exam. Agile questions. Is the Agile guide on PMI website enough, or any other recommended Agile guides resources? Yeah. So the Agile guide on PMI website is really good. So if you go through that, you should be able to answer many questions. As I said earlier, if you go through the exam questions, the prep course questions, and the questions provided by Prothoughts, the mock exams and everything, then there are for example, you have the Agile Manifesto. You have the 12 principles of Agile. So all these things, when you look at it, so for example, for me, when I was reading, there were many things that I didn't even know about. So for example, I have not exactly worked in agile framework, agile, so in companies which were really into agile. Okay, so and it's only now that the advent of agile is coming to Mauritius, and all the companies are trying to move to agile. So for me, it was there were many concepts that were foreign to me. So there's a lot of googling that I did to just to understand some of the principles as well. So just reading the book, it won't help you if you don't even understand the basic concept behind what's written in the book. So there's a lot of research to be done as well, and there's a lot of material on the net. So don't worry about that. So can I get the PDU? Yes, of course you can. So I'll just give you the CCRS code in a while. So are there many lengthy long questions? Yes, there are many long questions. So you'll, as I said, it's a really long exam. So don't think that you have so many minutes, so it's fine and you can take your time with all the questions. No, you need to be really quick about the questions. Read them well, and yeah, that's it. So there are no short or easy questions. Every question has its own weight. So just treat every question the same. So read it well and go for the answer. Okay. So our answers provided for calculations questions. Answers provided for calculations questions. Yes, of course. So it will be in a form of a multiple choice. So you can just read the question, and you calculate it, and you'll have the answers answer just in front of you, in fact. So it's a multiple choice question answer. So you'll have 4 answers, and you need to choose the correct answer from those. Thank you. So it was okay, that's fine. So okay, so we have started the polls. If everyone could just participate in the polls, please. So I have come at the end of the questions that I have for this webinar. I do hope that it has been informative for you and insightful for you. I tried to tie everything up with my experience that from the exam itself and everything. Just hope that it helps you. Okay. So in the presentation, I also included my email address. Just feel free to drop me an email if there is anything I can help you with. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.